The second edition of the week and the very first edition of the month of December 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and thank you very much for joining us on Viewpoint. In today's edition, we'll be talking about regional elections to take place on the 6th of December and the ongoing campaign which is currently going on. And to discuss about this, we are honored to have with us here Augustine Wendung. It is the first time that we are receiving him as a renowned journalist here in the littoral region, and of course we are happy having him. Augustine, thank you very much for your invitation. Good evening.
It's a pleasure, Vanessa Shiyong. It's really a pleasure for me. Of course, as the media practitioner, we have the obligation to conscientize society. Of course, our mission is to educate, is to inform, is to conscientize. Our mission is to be the mouth of the doom,
the voice of the
voice of the voiceless, the ears of the deaf. Yes.
Thank
and
you.
why not the eyes of the blind?
Automatically you are. Manga Venashus, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Vanessa. Good evening to our viewers and good evening to our elder brother. You know, it's when you are accompanied by, people like him, you feel confident. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. And Vanessa, permit me greet parents out there who are watching at us this evening. And we are at the beginning of the month of December, and practically 30 days we will be, putting the year 2020 into the shelves of archives. And I must indicate that 2020 has been I call it one of the worst years in human history, and I think that nobody will want to remember 2020 for anything good. And I think that let us pray that this last 30 days see us through this year, and we put the 2020, because at the beginning they were telling us 2020 economy, 2020 finance, 2020 health, and all these things, they were 0 on 20, 0 on 20, 0 on 20. So I think that we should be, shelving this year fast. If we could wind the hands of the clock, we would have been around the 28th or 29th of December, so that this year should go faster, Vanessa.
Okay, Manga Venashus, so many people were saying that 2020 is my year. We hope that with that enthusiasm and objective, though equally say that 2021 will be their year. Let us take the first part of the show. Ongoing campaign to convince councillors to vote is the exercise objective. Augustine, I'll begin with you. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Manga Venashus?
No, Vanessa, I think it is not.
No, it is not. And will regional delegates be free to effect any developmental changes in Cameroon? Venashus, will they be free?
I don't think so. They will not.
No. Augustine? Will they be free to do so?
Definitely, it will be a very difficult task, and I don't see them doing anything or being the game changer.
All right, you don't see them being the game changer. Let us have the debate. Stay tuned. Ongoing campaign to convince councillors to vote is the exercise objective. That is what we are trying to find out or to answer. Like Augustine rightly said at the beginning of the show, we are the voice of the voiceless. So, Augustine, from your point of view, you think that the campaign is objective? How objective it is, given that these electors have been convinced to choose who they would decide to be their regional delegate?
First and foremost, I want to say that why do I say it's objective? From the perspective that this is one party election.
Right.
It's a one party show. Because I don't see who is a challenger here. There's nobody challenging the rolling CPDM in all its phase and ramifications. Therefore, it is objective to their advantage, because they dictate the pace. They dictate the pace. I don't see any political party emerging with regional councillors. that can be of threat to the CPDM is found where UNDP, who is an allied party, or the PCRN that has just come into the political arena, Enyong Ekele. No. What we need to know is that this is a political party that has been in power in this country for close to 40 years. And it's a political machine. Because in politicking and in electioneering, it takes not only the political wisdom, but money, cash, the financial power. And if you want to talk about the financial power, it is the CPDM. Their candidate stands the chance of not only convincing the electorate, which are municipal councillors, and mind you, Vanessa, that municipal councillors do not have a budget. They don't have salaries. Mm-hmm. They don't have salaries. So it is in electoral period like this that they equally reign paramount to make fortune, to make political gains. So it will be the highest bidder carries the day. Yes, it will be who pays better. And do you see Cabral Libiu political party having what it takes? Financially speaking, even the UNDP that has been in the political arena from the exception of multi-party politics, immediately they became an allied party to the ruling CPDM. They lost him. Yes. So what I'm saying here that campaigns are gonna be objective in favor of the CPDM because they're the one dictating the pace of this election. They don't have challengers.
Thank you very much, Augustine. I get your point. He thinks that it is a one-party show, so they do not have competitors, and of course they do have the financial strength or power to dictate who could be original delegate. Mangavina shoes, you rather think that convincing these councillors is not an objective exercise?
Of course, Vanessa, let me develop my arguments from where Augustine ended. We are talking about the majority in the field. Here it is the CPDM. I take for example in the northwest region, only the CPDM is going in for this election. So from the onset, when the deposition of candidature files ended, CPDM won in the northwest region because there is nobody who would challenge them. Even just one candidate, just one councillor voting in the northwest region gives the vote to the CPDM. It suffices just only the mayor to vote. The CPDM has won in the northwest region. And when we want to look at the objectivity of the exercise, what are they spending taxpayers' money for in the northwest region for campaign? Who are they campaigning? Because when I heard the former prime minister was in the northwest region to launch campaign, what is he campaigning for? How objective is what he's saying? Whether CPDM will deliver the goods or CPDM will not deliver the goods, they will be the people to occupy the regional council in the northwest region. Not only in the northwest region. There are other regions like that in Cameroon where we have only the CPDM running. So the objectivity of this campaign is, I find it difficult. We are operating in a political landscape where individual consciences, individual beliefs and ideologies do not count. We live in a country where you act as a politician according to the political umbrella where you are, under which you belong. I take for example in the littoral region, there are about 4 in the littoral region that are contesting. Tell me how, I take for example Douala 2 Council, where it is 100% CPDM. Tell me how a councillor in Douala 2 would be bold enough, I use the word bold, well selected, to vote a different party. He votes according to the party line. And then when you tell me that they are campaigning in Douala 2 Council, what for? What are you campaigning to? What do you want to tell them? When I listen to CPDM militants on the field, they were saying that they are going in for development, and that is why they are campaigning that people should select only those who will bring development. Now, when you look at the list of those who are found in most of this regional council list, you discover that if they are all very few newcomers. Most of them are old politicians who were hibernating in maybe in one department or another. Now they are coming back from their slumber to occupy this position. I go back to the Northwest region where I understand. We are talking about the presidency of the regional council. Mm-hmm. We are talking about the presidency of the House of Chiefs in the Northwest region. Mancon bigwigs of the CPDM, they are out to say they want nothing less than these two presidents. They want the president of the traditional council to be Fonangwafo, the Fonangwafo of Mancon. Mm-hmm. They want the president of the regional council to be Angwafo, Fru Angwafo III. That's the son of the Fon. What type of development are we trying to say? Remember, Fonangwafo is the national vice president of the CPDM party. A vice president whose secretary, whose communication secretary, a vice president whose assistant secretary, we hear them, they wield power more than the vice president of the power of the party.
Of the party.
Yes. Which means a vice president who could not say anything, is it this time that he will become the president of the House of Chiefs, that he will say something? And Vanessa, how objective is it? Fonangwafa is already old in his age where he is. He wants to become president. His son wants to become president. Is it a lineage, a family kind of business? So I think that objectively speaking, we are not going in for objective politics. We are going in for politics of who commands the majority. Like you were saying, there is no challenger in the election. So to me, the exercise is just just for procedural purposes. It's just let it be that they campaigned. And my question I'm asking is, why are we using taxpayers' money for an exercise that does not worth? Because remember, the state they disbursed money for campaign, for political parties. For what purpose?
For what purpose? Augustine?
Yes, I want to come back to what Venatius has just said. If the question here was, is this election democratic? Mm-hmm. If this is this election democratic, I think we have been talking here the manner in which Venatius is developing his point. But if we're asking here, is this election objective? Mm-hmm. I want to tell you that the objective of every political party is to conserve power and remain in power, no matter the means they do. That's the objective of every political activity. Mm-hmm. For a political formation to do as much as possible to conserve power. Mm-hmm. All right? But if we were talking here in terms of democratic culture, I would have told you that there's nothing to write home about. Because when democracy is concerned, Cameroon is no party. When democracy prevails, where democracy prevails, Cameroon is no party. We don't have democratic culture. Because if we had democratic culture as stipulated by the Athenians' democratic definition of government of the people, by the people, for the people, then there would have been anything to talk about elections in Cameroon as of now. Because we have insecurity, we have manslaughter ongoing in the northwest and the southwest regions. Do you think that a northwesterner or a southwesterner would be interested to hear about elections when they are dying like dogs, when they cannot go freely about their daily activities, when their children are not in the classroom? So what is elections all about?
What is it all about?
Yes, Augustine, I was looking at the objectivity of this campaign in the sense that is the objective really to convince the electorate. If we had a situation where in the Northwest region we had the SDF party, we have perhaps the MRC party, we have the PCRN party, we have the SDF party, then now we would, councillors in this election. Now we could say that they are going in to convince some of the councillors from the SDF party to vote them, in as much as the SDF going in to convince CPDM party to vote them. Here you will see a kind of political game, each trying to win as much votes as possible. When it is general election, each party goes out and they are preaching to Cameroonians to make sure that even if I belong to CPDM, an SDF member tells me or outlines their political agenda, convincing me I can vote for SDF, whereas I'm not of the SDF. But when we have situations like, CPDM is one of that party that is in almost all the subdivisions. Not almost, in every subdivision in Cameroon. That is where they are. Now, who are they convincing again? If they are in every subdivision, it means they have councillors in every subdivision. Out of the number of councillors that we have in Cameroon, CPDM has more than 3/4. CPDM should even sit and don't do anything, and all their councillors will vote. They will just vote.
Thank you very much.
That's the objectivity of the exercise I'm talking
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that analogy. Let us take the second question with regional delegates. Be free to effect any developmental changes in Cameroon. Augustine, you think you don't see them as the game changers? Many probably we believe that these regional councillors will come actually to ease the process of decentralization, to be able to manage the region's budget and carry out developmental projects. And in trying to find out if they will have that upper hand or that free hand, you think that they are not the game changers?
We have three arms of government in this country. We have the executive, we have the legislative, and we have the judiciary. Okay? The judicial arm of government in this country goes along with Parliament and the Senate. You have the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative. The legislative arm of government is what would have affected meaningful changes in the country, the democratic culture that could trickle down development. Have we had a true and effective, frank, democratic debate in the hemicycle in this country? The answer is blowing in the air. This is the 10th legislature, okay? A problem like the Anglophone crisis that has gone on for 4 years plus had never been entertained on the floor of Parliament. This, I am telling you, an arm of government that have enormous constitutional powers that can effect change and bring about development. They fell short of it. Talk less of the Senate. So, how can you come to convince me that a regional councillor who will still have governors elected, the regional president will be answerable to who? What will be the role of the governor of regions and the role of the president or the regional president?
Mm-hmm.
Even the president of the House of Chiefs. Because today we still see, since they talked about speeding up with the decentralization process, you have had mayors who have cried foul of high-handedness of civil authorities. And today, what is the guarantee? Because everything is about law. I don't think that the regional councillor is going to ignite his or her own laws. They are going to operate within the ambit of the laws, the fundamental laws of the land. and of which the fundamental laws of the land gives enormous powers to the executive. All right? Today, I want to ask you, the ruling CPDM political party had ruled Cameroon for close to 40 years. And regional elections, they are carrying the lion's share. In fact, they reign supreme. Because I still say it will be a miracle for me to hear that there is a regional president
who is not
coming from
an opposition
political party, and which is the opposition political party. Because the opposition political party that could muster courage and have what it takes, political stamina and dexterity to counter the CPDM, is not in the race. It's not in the race. Okay? Today, what miracle do you think a regional president of the CPDM will now do better than a parliamentarian of the CPDM, a senator of the CPDM? I don't accept Venatius is going to tell me. But me, I am doubting that, we are merely playing political gallery. It is political gimmicks. And to an extent, it's political banditry that we are living, because we are living the same scenario. The status quo is being reinforced, not even maintained, reinforced as the day passes by. Regional councillors are coming in to equally have their booty. As some parliamentarians have been there for 10 good years in the hemicycle, they are super rich. Why Cameroonians live in abject poverty and in plenary? Regional councillors are going to equally enter the same system and scenario. Venatius just let the cat out of the bag, telling you how a father and son wants to be both regional president and president of the House of Chiefs. Who is going to counter for Nangwafo? Or who counter Professor Ephraim Gwafo? Like he's saying, if there was a strong opposition from the other side, we say, there is a match. But here, there's no match. Secondly, I want to still maintain that, being it presidential, being it municipal and legislative, now regional elections, for what intention the powers that be might have been doing what they're doing, me, I stand as a journalist of the opinion that within the context of the Anglophone crisis, no elections are taking place in the Northwest and the Southwest region.
Thank you very much, Augustine. Manga Venatius, you are equally thinking the same way, that they will not be having that upper hand to carry out a developmental project?
I don't know why I'm so optimistic, so pessimistic about the whole issue, but I think that they will just be there, like, with the introduction of the Senate, we were expecting a new, a new insight into the management of state affairs, and the Senate just came and followed the footsteps of their, I call it their elder brother, the parliamentarians. Because when the Senate, what do you hear that comes out from the Senate? But they are there. They are in session every time, but nothing comes out from there. I think that when we talk about regional delegates that would be elected December 6th, when we ask what they can do, what they will do, Vanessa, I had the opportunity to witness the campaign launch here, and what I discovered was the candidates who are going in for the elections, they don't even talk. They were sitting there, they merely presented them, and then the elites were the people talking. And you hear their campaign, we came to give them a moral booster and to tell you people that these are the people who will bring a change and development in our locality. And I was asking myself, somebody will leave Yaoundé to come and tell you what you should do here during elections. Because he's telling the councillors that vote for these people because these are the people who will do this. Are they not the very elite who will still come and tell these very regional councillors that you don't do this? These regional delegates, you don't do this. This is what you're supposed to do. We are in a country where they tell you that you will be a candidate or not. If we had a country, Augustine was saying something about the parliament and the parliamentarians. At one point, I would always like to differ about whether they really understand their function as parliamentarians in this country. Because all what they do is they go to Yaoundé, sit, the government proposes bills, they sit and either say yes or no, and I don't know how many of them have ever, I don't know a bill that came to the house and they said no and they went back. They went there, they sit and they just rubber stamp these bills. They go through their sister chambers, they rubber stamp them and they will go back to where they came from and they are executed. The whole thing is, it is just a kind of routine they go there and do. I was listening the other day, ministers were passing in front of the budget commission to defend their budget. Vanessa, you tell me that a minister tells you how he managed the money in less than 2 hours? In less than 2 hours, he has defended his budget. How convincing is he going to say? There are ministries in this Cameroon that they can go for 2 months, you have never heard of them, they are existing, and they will come and defend their budget. How did they use the money? I think that when the parliamentarians, if they have to, effect change in this country, they need to know their role, what they are supposed to do as parliamentarians first. Now, we are talking about this regional delegates. Once they would be there, if they are really true for development, then they should think away from their party line. But in as much as it is still, they are still tied down to the party kind of thing, you are not free.
You are not free.
Yes, you operate according to the dictate of the party. So that's why I think that they may not effect any developmental change in Cameroon once they take over office, Vanessa.
Vanessa,
closing remark.
Yes, I'm very surprised that Vinicius do not know the system. Yes, he wants to play the role of or justify the lack of, patriotic spirit and love of fatherland in parliamentarians to ignorance. I say no, sir. No.
You said no.
It is.
All right.
It is mainly the system that has been put in place. It is rubber stamp. In fact, they go there for formality. Yes, all they want to do is to see that they conserve power. And I want to tell you, why is it that is elites coming to campaign for candidates for regional elections? It's because the candidate themselves, they are not financially powerful. And let me tell you, the real CPDM is aware that even their own party militants are disgruntled, they might not have another alternative to vote another political party, but they can go and vote papers.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
And for that reason, they should come from Yaoundé with bags of money
and
convince them.
We have come to the end, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Augustine Wendung, for coming. Thank you very much for your contributions.
It's been a pleasure.
Manga Venashus, I hope to have you tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Like his viewpoint is all about to educate you, to sensitize you, and to awaken your consciousness to things that are seemingly not meaningful into the society. See you tomorrow. Stay tuned to DBS Television. Coming up at 8 p.m. You'll be having the primetime newscast. Goodbye.